Will Europe struggle with the technological stagnation, especially with artificial intelligence and the economic fragmentation, hinder its ability to form new alliances, especially with the US focusing more on Asia?
Sadly, yes. So sadly, the short answer is yes. And here, I'll have to disagree respectfully with my colleague, Dr. Majid, for a simple reason. What he says may have been true 12, 13 years ago. What do I mean by that? 12, 13 years ago, if you looked at big Western European countries like Italy, France, Germany, England, Britain, the average national income, or the GDP per capita, was very similar to that of America. So back then, when they had roughly similar GDP per person, per capita, you could say what Dr. Majid says, that, oh, the population is slightly bigger in Europe. Today, it's completely not true for a simple reason. GDP per capita today in America is double. It's 100% more than the average national wealth in France or Germany or Britain. So that's a big difference. Another big difference is growth. If you look at annual GDP growth in most European countries in the past 5 or 6 years, it has been close to zero per annum, 0.5%, 1% per annum. In America, it has been close to 3.5% per year. So that's another big difference. But it's not the biggest thing. There's something much, much bigger. When I was young, I was not an academic or think tank expert. When I was young, I worked for the private sector. And in finance, if you look at the national stock exchange, there's something called market cap. So the market cap is the overall value of a company based on the daily share price fluctuation. And so when I was younger, if you look at the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange, if you look at the market cap of American companies, it was roughly double, 2 times that of the Paris and Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Today, it's 25 times more. That says a lot, and that's really horrible for Europe. Another way of looking at the same issue is something called the MSCI World Index. It's the Morgan Stanley MSCI International Equity Index, which looks at the market cap of all nations. Inside the MSCI World Index, America alone today represents 76% of the world index of listed companies. France, Germany, less than 2%. So clearly, in the past 5, 6 years, they have become much poorer because the price of shares listing on the Frankfurt or Paris or London exchange is a leading indicator. Why is it a leading early indicator? Because it's a reflection of the future wealth. Because financial investors, when they buy a share of Tesla or General Motors or Microsoft, they look at future growth, future earnings. So that's a disaster because, the mirror image that the stock exchange is giving us of the future of Germany, France, Britain is mediocre at best or very bad if you want to be pessimistic. The future image of America's wealth is great. Why is it great? Come back to what you said earlier. Because of the tech sector. Clearly, one state, California, one region, one small region, which is the San Francisco Bay Area, where you have all these gigantic tech companies. They have been at the center of the world economy for a long time. And in the past 4 or 5 years, with AI and other issues, we have witnessed an acceleration of the acceleration itself. So clearly now wealth is being created more than ever at crazy speed in the Silicon Valley, in America, in Texas, Pennsylvania, Boston, New York. It is not, innovation is not happening in France, Germany, and Britain. And that is really very bad for Europe's future. Europe has to wake up, and Europe has to take corrective measures urgently.